gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome to today's episode. We're diving into GSA schedule contract compliance, a topic that's both essential and often misunderstood.
Absolutely. GSA contracts open big opportunities, but compliance can seem like navigating a maze.
Right? And for those new to GSA schedules, it's basically a government-wide contract vehicle that lets agencies buy from pre-approved suppliers.
Exactly. But once you're on the schedule, the real work begins, staying compliant with all the rules.
That's what trips people up. There are so many requirements, from pricing to reporting.
Speaking of pricing, let's start there. GSA requires you to offer your most favored customer pricing, right?
Yes, and that means the government should get at least as good a deal as your best commercial customer.
But how do companies determine who their most favored customer is? That's tricky.
It often involves analyzing your sales data and identifying who gets your best discounts or terms.
I've heard companies sometimes get caught off guard during audits because they didn't document this well.
True. The price reductions clause is a big deal. If you give a better deal to another customer, you may have to lower your GSA prices too.
That's a lot of pressure. And then there's the sales reporting requirement.
Yes, contractors must report their GSA sales, often quarterly, and pay the industrial funding fee, or IFF.
The IFF is like a small percentage of your reported sales, right? Usually 0.75%.
Correct. It sounds minor, but missing payments or misreporting can lead to compliance issues.
Let's talk about modifications. If your product changes or you want to update pricing, you need to submit a modification request.
Exactly. And you can't just start selling something new under your GSA contract without approval.
That's a common misconception. Some think once you're on the schedule, you have free rein.
The GSA is pretty strict about keeping everything documented and transparent.
What about Trade Agreements Act, TAA compliance? That's another big one.
Definitely. All products offered must be made in a designated country. Otherwise, they can't be sold under GSA.
So, if you have a product manufactured in, say, China, that would be non-compliant.
Exactly. The list of compliant countries is specific, and non-compliance can lead to big penalties.
Have you seen companies struggle with this?
Absolutely. Sometimes suppliers change manufacturing locations, and the contractor doesn't catch it.
That's a nightmare. Regular supply chain checks are a must.
And then there's the importance of keeping records. GSA can audit you at any time.
Right? Audits can go back years, so you need to keep everything. Invoices, sales reports, correspondence.
I think a lot of smaller businesses underestimate the workload.
Yes, GSA contracts can be great for growth, but they require ongoing attention.
And let's not forget about compliance training for staff.
That's huge. If your sales team doesn't understand the rules, mistakes can happen fast.
I've heard of companies holding regular internal trainings just to keep everyone up to date.
Smart move. Also, subcontracting plans. Those come into play for larger contracts.
Right. If your contract exceeds a certain threshold, you need a plan for working with small businesses.
And you have to report your subcontracting activity. The government takes this seriously.
Non-compliance doesn't just hurt your reputation. It can get you kicked off the schedule.
That's true. The consequences are real. Termination, fines, even legal action in severe cases.
Some people think it's just paperwork, but it's really about public trust and responsible spending.
Exactly. With so much taxpayer money involved, transparency is key.
Let's shift gears a bit. What about contract renewals?
Good point. GSA contracts are usually 5 years, with options to renew up to 20 years.
But renewal isn't automatic. You have to demonstrate good performance and compliance.
If you've had compliance issues, renewal can be tough or even impossible.
So regular self-audits are a good idea. Don't wait for GSA to find problems.
That's like waiting for your dentist to find cavities instead of brushing your teeth.
Great analogy. Prevention is always easier than a cure.
Let's talk about best practices. What's one thing companies can do to stay compliant?
I'd say document everything. If it's not written down, it didn't happen.
I agree. And use technology. There are tools to track sales, pricing, and compliance.
Absolutely. Automation can save time and reduce errors.
But don't rely entirely on software. Human oversight is still important.
Definitely. People catch the nuances that software might miss.
What about communicating with the GSA? Some contractors are hesitant to ask questions.
It's better to ask than to guess. The GSA is there to help, not just police.
Sometimes picking up the phone can save you from a huge headache later.
And joining industry groups can help too. There's a community out there with lots of shared experience.
Peer advice can be invaluable, especially for new contractors.
Agreed. Let's talk about the cost of compliance. Some see it as a burden, but it's really a cost of doing business.
True. And compared to the value of government contracts, it's often worth it.
But you need to factor compliance costs into your pricing.
Otherwise, you could end up undercutting yourself.
Exactly. And remember, compliance isn't just for the initial contract award. It's ongoing.
It's like owning a pet. You can't just adopt and forget. You have to feed and care for it.
Love that. And just like pets, neglected contracts can make a mess.
One thing we haven't touched on is ethics. Compliance isn't just about rules, it's about doing the right thing.
That's so true. The government counts on contractors to act with integrity.
Cutting corners might seem tempting, but the risks far outweigh the rewards.
And the government has ways of finding out. Whistleblowers, audits, even competitors can raise flags.
So the best policy is honesty and transparency.
Let's wrap up with some advice for those considering a GSA contract.
I'd say don't underestimate the importance of compliance from day one.
And invest in good processes and training. It pays off in the long run.
Use the resources available, GSA guidance, consultants, peer groups.
And remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Compliance is continuous.
Before we sign off, let's leave our listeners with a question. How can your organization make compliance a part of its culture, not just a checklist?
Great question. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope this helps demystify GSA schedule contract compliance.
See you next time.
Thanks for watching. I'm Nancy, your AI avatar. If you like this podcast, you can get one for yourself based on a website, YouTube video, or any source. Contact me to get a customized quote for your content. See you soon.